Welcome to Whispers and Confessions. There might be a twist waiting, so please make sure to watch until the end. Don't forget to subscribe and like. Let's begin right away.
Our first threesome was electric with anticipation and tinged with nervous energy. But Sarah and Emily's tender touches and warm embrace dissolved any lingering doubts. They worked in perfect harmony, their touches setting every nerve ending alight. Sarah's sweet whispers in my ear matched the rhythm of her kisses along my neck, while Emily's gentle hands explored my chest and waist before her lips found more intimate territory. Their expert caresses pushed me to heights of pleasure I'd never known, leaving me breathless 4 times over. I arrived home from work earlier than usual today. Walking into our quiet apartment building, I noticed my wife wasn't home yet. Instead, there was a pair of unfamiliar women's shoes at the entrance. As I stepped inside, I heard voices coming from the bedroom and found 2 women there. "Welcome home," they both said with smiles, though they seemed caught off guard. It was my wife Sarah and our neighbor Emily. "Sorry about this, Tyler," Emily said, looking embarrassed. "We'd become good friends with them as neighbors, often getting together for dinner." "What's going on here?" I asked, raising an eyebrow curiously. "Oh, I just invited Emily over on a whim, and we were trying on clothes and talking about fashion," Sarah explained, her voice slightly shaky. "We weren't expecting you home so early." "Ah, I get it. That explains why you were rushing to change," I said with an understanding nod. Sarah's face brightened as she suggested, "Hey, why don't we all have dinner together tonight?" "That would be perfect actually. My husband just left for a business trip today, so I'm on my own," Emily replied cheerfully. So we ended up having dinner together, the 3 of us. Sarah sat next to me while Emily sat across the table. I couldn't help but feel proud of my beautiful wife, and Emily was certainly attractive in her own way. The wine flowed freely, making conversation more animated than usual. Having Emily there seemed to add an exciting new dynamic to our evening. As we were finishing up, Sarah turned to Emily with a warm expression. "Emily, would you like to stay over tonight?" "I'd love that," Emily answered with a shy smile. "That okay with you, honey?" Sarah asked, meeting my gaze. Of course, I agreed without hesitation. "I just hate the thought of you being alone," Sarah said sincerely. "You guys are the best," Emily responded, visibly relieved. For some reason, my pulse quickened. It was just a neighbor staying over, but something felt different. Later that night, I woke up suddenly. Through the darkness, I heard soft rustling sounds and turned my head to see Sarah and Emily in an intimate embrace, kissing beside my bed. Though shocked, I quickly shut my eyes, pretending to be asleep. I drifted off again in a dreamlike state. The next morning in the living room, both women greeted me with a casual good morning, as if nothing had happened. While I tried to convince myself it was just a dream, their unusually close behavior made me wonder. As breakfast was wrapping up, Sarah spoke up, "Emily, why don't you stay with us while your husband's away? Would that be okay with you?" Sarah asked, watching my reaction carefully. "Sure, why not?" I replied with a smile. Emily beamed at me, her eyes conveying both gratitude and something more. "Thank you so much. I'll try not to be a bother." Her voice held a note of excitement. And that's how our life as a trio began. We each went to work during the day and spent our evenings sharing meals and conversation. When I worked late, Sarah and Emily would hang out together. We fell into a natural rhythm with household chores, and everyone seemed comfortable. Sarah and I kept our bedroom while Emily took the guest room. Then one evening, Sarah broached a subject hesitantly. "Honey, would you mind if Emily and I shared a room? I feel bad about her being all alone." Her voice wavered between nervousness and hope. "Well," I considered it for a moment. "I guess I could move to the other room, and you two can have the bedroom. What do you think?" Sarah asked Emily, her eyes sparkling. That would be nice, more comfortable, Emily replied with a shy smile, though I feel a bit guilty about it. Don't worry about it. It's just temporary, I said evenly, though something tugged uncomfortably at my chest. Thanks, Tyler, Emily said gratefully, looking down shyly. It's no problem, I responded, trying to sound casual, but my mind kept drifting back to that kiss I'd witnessed. My curiosity finally got the better of me. Around 1 a.m., I crept toward their room, trying to be as quiet as possible. My heart pounded in my chest. Just as I reached for the doorknob with trembling hands, the door swung open from the inside. I jumped back, startled. There stood Emily, wearing a knowing smile. Everything okay? She asked calmly, as if she'd been expecting me. I'm sorry, I stammered, looking down. It's just, I was wondering about you too. My voice trailed off, unable to finish the thought. Emily looked at me intently. Tyler, I can read your mind. You're thinking something's going on between us, aren't you? Her tone carried a hint of playful suggestion. No, I wasn't. I held up my hands defensively, feeling my face flush. Really? Emily whispered, taking a step into my personal space. My heart racing, I tried to back away, but before I could move, Emily leaned in and kissed me. Her lips were incredibly soft and warm against mine. Hold on, we can't. I managed to pull away, my breath coming in short gasps. Emily's lips curved into a mischievous smile. Don't worry, Sarah's fast asleep. The timing's perfect. Her eyes glittered in the darkness as she took my hand and guided me toward my temporary bedroom. Once inside, Emily began slowly unbuttoning my shirt, her fingers slowly working on each button. Moonlight filtered through the window, casting everything in a silvery glow as we faced each other. Despite the guilt gnawing at my conscience, I found myself powerless against her seductive charm. With trembling hands, I started undressing Emily. Her skin seemed to glow in the moonlight, soft and inviting. Our eyes locked before we came together in a deep, passionate kiss. Emily's scent was intoxicating, different from Sarah's, yet equally alluring. Her warm breath against my neck sent shivers down my spine. Everything else faded away as we lost ourselves in each other's embrace, her gentle caresses making my head spin. As our bodies intertwined, our breathing quickened in unison, building toward an inevitable crescendo. Though I tried to stay quiet, mindful of Sarah sleeping nearby, Emily showed no such restraint, pulling me closer with increasing urgency. Our passion built to a climax until we finally collapsed, spent and satisfied. The next morning, I found my perspective had shifted completely. Instead of suspecting the two women, I was now the one trying to act natural to avoid arousing Sarah's suspicions. Emily ate her breakfast with perfect composure, as if nothing extraordinary had happened the night before. Their close friendship appeared unchanged, but I couldn't help wondering about Emily's true motives for being here. 2 weeks into our unconventional living arrangement, Sarah announced she had to attend a 3-day business conference in Los Angeles. Emily said she'd return to her own place during that time. So imagine my surprise when I came home from work to find Emily cooking dinner in the kitchen. I didn't want you to be lonely, she explained with a warm smile. I cleared it with Sarah first. Come on, dinner's ready. The table was already set with an elaborate meal. And just like that, Emily and I found ourselves alone together for the first time. During dinner, Emily brought up something that had been bothering her. Tyler, I think you should know something about Sarah. What's on your mind? I asked, my stomach tightening with anxiety. I hate to say this, but I think Sarah might be seeing someone else, Emily said with a heavy sigh, looking down at her plate. Looking back, I'm starting to think she only invited me here to cover up what she's been doing. I know you were suspicious of us at first, Emily continued, a hint of sadness in her smile. And you weren't entirely wrong. Something special did develop between us after that day. You came home unexpectedly. Her face flushed at the memory. We were caught off guard when you walked in. What started as innocent curiosity grew into something deeper. Emily's voice dropped to barely above a whisper. But I've developed real feelings for you, Tyler. Though sometimes I wonder if that was part of Sarah's plan all along. She probably knows about us being together like this. Are you saying her business trip is just a cover story? My voice cracked with emotion. I think so. Emily's eyes glistened with tears. And I believe she's with my husband. Wait, what? I thought your husband was away on business? I stammered, struggling to process this revelation. He is, Emily replied with a pained smile. But it can't be pure coincidence that Sarah's in LA right now, the same city where my husband happens to be. The news hit me hard. If true, this changed everything. Tyler, what are you thinking right now? Emily's tear-filled eyes searched my face for answers. I don't know what to think anymore, I admitted, my mind reeling. Would you mind if I stayed here tonight? Emily asked, her voice trembling with vulnerability. I don't want to be alone while Sarah's away. After a moment's hesitation, I reached out and gently took her shaking hand. Yes, please stay, I whispered, my own voice unsteady. That night was different from our first encounter. We were no longer burdened by guilt or trying to hide our attraction. We connected on a deeper level, both physically and emotionally. Yet even in the midst of our intimate connection, there was an underlying current of melancholy. As I lay there afterward, my thoughts kept circling back to Emily's revelations. Was Sarah really having an affair with Emily's husband? Or was this all an elaborate scheme orchestrated by both women? The more I tried to unravel the truth behind these complicated relationships, the more entangled I became in this web of uncertainty. Finally, Sarah returned and Emily moved back to her place, bringing our time as a trio to an end. Whether Sarah's LA trip was truly for business or a rendezvous with Emily's husband remained a mystery that would never be solved. Hey Tyler. One evening during dinner with Emily, there was an unmistakable weight in her voice. I need to tell you something. My husband's been transferred to San Francisco, so we're moving next week. Her eyes betrayed her inner turmoil. Oh, I managed a bittersweet smile. That's tough to hear. Emily bowed her head and whispered, her voice thick with emotion, I'm really going to miss all of this. In that moment, Sarah and Emily exchanged a meaningful look that spoke volumes without words. Their contrasting beauty complemented each other perfectly, yet I sensed an inexplicable connection between them, as if they shared a secret bond one couldn't quite grasp. A sudden wave of unease washed over me. Could they be planning to leave together? No, that couldn't be right. Emily had just said she was moving with her husband. Emily, I ventured, gathering my nerve. Would you like to spend the night here? She paused briefly before meeting my gaze, her eyes glistening. Yes, I'd really like that. Thank you, I breathed, feeling relieved. Deep down, I knew this would be our final night together. Later that night, I woke suddenly, aware of soft sounds drifting from the next room. My mind raced with possibilities, and curiosity got the better of me. I crept toward their bedroom, but hesitated at the door. Whether they were sleeping peacefully or finding comfort in each other's arms, it felt like I was intruding on their private sanctuary. The thought that Emily might choose Sarah over me crossed my mind. If that happened, I'd have to accept it. Their happiness was what mattered most. Just as I turned to leave, someone grabbed my hand and pulled me into the room. In the darkness, soft lips found mine, and their gentle voices whispered, Tyler, it's our last night. Let's be together. I'd known this moment was coming. Like something written in the stars, our final night unfolded. The three of us shared an intimate connection that transcended physical pleasure. A flood of feelings washed over us, love intertwined with farewell, joy dancing with sorrow. The knowledge that this was our last time together made every moment precious. Our first threesome was electric with anticipation and tinged with nervous energy. But Sarah and Emily's tender touches and warm embrace dissolved any lingering doubts. They worked in perfect harmony, their touches setting every nerve ending alight. Sarah's sweet whispers in my ear matched the rhythm of her kisses along my neck, while Emily's gentle hands explored my chest and waist before her lips found more intimate territory. Their expert caresses pushed me to heights of pleasure I'd never known, leaving me breathless 4 times over. We spent hours lost in each other, offering comfort and love in equal measure. This extraordinary experience would forever stand as the most intense moment of my life. Later, staring at the ceiling, I wrestled with my conscience. Had we done the right thing? But we'd already crossed a point of no return, and we all knew it. Yet somehow, I couldn't bring myself to feel regret. What did the future hold for us? How would this complicated relationship resolve itself? I knew deep down this was our final time together. A few days after returning home from work, the reality finally sank in. Emily was truly gone from our apartment. All the lights were off in the house, and Sarah was nowhere to be found. My eyes caught sight of a letter on the dining table. It was from Emily. With trembling hands, I unfolded it. "Dear Tyler, I need to tell you something difficult. I've chosen Sarah. We considered every possibility, including the four of us switching partners, but that would only lead to more heartache. Starting fresh with Sarah was our only path forward. Please find it in your heart to forgive us. Know that we'll be happy together. That final night we shared wasn't born from guilt. Please treasure it as a beautiful memory always. Goodbye, Tyler." After reading her words, I was surprised to find myself feeling not regret, but a sense of peace. I could genuinely wish for their happiness, even as tears silently rolled down my cheeks. 4 years have passed since then. Today, I came home to find my wife wearing an apron and preparing dinner. "Welcome home, honey." Rachel, whom I met through work last year, is now my wife, and we've built a wonderful life together. Tonight, we're having dinner with our neighbor Amanda. Looking at them both, I can't help but notice how they possess distinct kinds of beauty. They complemented each other perfectly. Something about their dynamic feels hauntingly familiar, reminding me of those days gone by. But surely nothing like that could happen again. Then Rachel's voice breaks through my thoughts. "Amanda, would you like to stay over tonight?" "I'd love to." Perfect. Their exchange stirs up memories I thought I'd buried. I find myself wondering how Sarah and Emily are doing these days. That extraordinary night we shared still lives vivid in my memory. "What's on your mind?" Amanda asks with a knowing smile. For just a moment, Emily's face seems to overlap with hers, and I can almost hear her whisper, "Maybe we'll meet again sometime."